Hi everyone, super excited to introduce this gorgeous lady. Just a real quick snapshot. Carla and I met through a mutual friend, and she was actually a friend of someone on Instagram, and she actually attended our Love Lab event close to about February last year. And basically, Carla came in, she sat at our table, and we've just really connected since then. And what I found with Carla, she really had something really special. She had a very open heart, she was willing to learn, and she's done a lot of personal development. And I'll never forget this. A week before conference, I had a gut feeling, and I rang up Nat and I said, Nat, you know what? I've got a gut feeling about this lady. I think she would love conference. She's done a lot of personal development. She loves Lauren Slocum. So I invited Carla. I had a guest ticket, and she came to conference last year just for one day and took it all in. And then obviously we got chatting, and then she's like, you know what? I'm going to give this a go. And here we go. So that's just a real quick snapshot. You just never know when the time is right for someone. But without further ado, this gorgeous woman who's a life coach, she's a dental hygienist, she's a mum of two. She just has the most beautiful heart, and she's creating so much culture, so many events with her brand, and it's literally just growing day by day. So Carla, I'm going to hand it over to you for you to share all your words of wisdom, of tips and tricks around creating an open heart community. Over to you, babe.
Do I just unmute myself? Is that enough? All right. Thank you for taking the call on. I know that Nat wanted me to do it, and I was like, oh, I don't want to run it because I don't trust me with the mute and the unmute button. But yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm Carla from the Women's Wellness Movement, and I'm really flattered that Nat asked me to do this. And she's really asked me to share how I have created a community and the value of doing this in your business. For me, I think having community, it's really been the difference between having a client and making a sale and then creating a community around me. When I first started at DVF, I could really quite easily get a sale and get a client quite easily. But then I'd sort of find after the 4 month, sort of it hit, and it was all of a sudden time for them to, go another 4 months, that they were often pulling out. And I was like, I don't know I'm here, I'm putting all this effort into convincing people to, to try the product. But then they weren't staying with it, and they weren't sticking with me, and they weren't sticking with the product. And I kept thinking how can I engage them more? Clearly I'm not engaging them enough. And the difference, I think, from what I'm doing now and back then is that I'm sort of spending a lot more time on the community and what I'm offering. So these are my 10 tips. I hope somebody gets something from them. I think the first thing that I've really recognized is that initially when I joined Juice Plus, I did it off a bat. I didn't give it a lot of thought. And when I came to the Perth conference at the start of the year in February, I was quite naive to the whole thing. I mean, I didn't really know many of the, the big faces in the room. I didn't know Danny Martin. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know Stephen Coulter. I didn't really know many of the NMDs. And I really didn't know how long some of these people had been in the business for. And by the end of that weekend, when I could see that some people had been in the business for 30 years. I was like, oh, wow. When I signed up to Juice Plus, I didn't really think about that. And I thought, and it made me ask myself, which is something I think is really important that often we don't when we first sign up is how long do we really think we're going to be associated with Juice Plus for? Do we sign up and it's just going to be let's give it a little shot, see how it goes for 6 months? Or do I consider this a product that I'm going to be on for the rest of my life? And I realized after conference that actually this is a product that's been amazing for my health, and I'm actually going to probably be on this product for the rest of my life for as long as I can afford it. And I'm probably also going to be involved in the community or the business side of things for as long as I am, around for as well. And so it made me sit back and think about how I was approaching my followers, my business, and the level of engagement that I was getting with people. And it made me realize that if I'm going to be in it for the long game, then you play the graceful long shot. Because I'd kind of been hacking about down there on the paddy field. You know, I was posting on days, even though I might not have actually had something really wonderful to post, simply because I felt like I needed to be doing something. And I was probably, you know, we all do it. You know, you start, you're enthusiastic, and you are reaching out to every single person, and you're not probably engaging with them enough before you bring up the product, because you're just enthused and you know, you've got goals and you want to get to SDVF and all these sorts of things. But I realized that if I'm going to be in Juice Plus for 20 years, you know, it doesn't matter if I spend another month talking to a person before I bring up the product. It actually makes no difference. I mean, is it the long way around to do things? Perhaps. But actually, it feels better for me to do it this way. And what ends up happening is that then it becomes an organic conversation rather than something I'm throwing in people's faces. I think what I've sort of realized by taking a slower approach to do it is that people are watching me now. So people that didn't want anything to do with the product, I mean, my family are a wonderful example. I have a pharmacist sister who's on the product, but she doesn't want me to know she's on the product still, but my mum has given her some of the Juice Plus product. I've got a brother who's on, trying for IVF with his partner, right into permaculture, right into growing his own vegetables. He's now on the product. Both of them said the same thing. Don't tell Carla I'm on the product. I'll tell her when she's ready. Like, these are like educated people and I'm close to them. But because I'm not down there hacking around in the putty field, don't making a mess of it and a balls of it by putting up crappy, pictures and, ramming it down everybody's throat, I have eventually caught the attention of those that absolutely wanted nothing to do with me to start with. So I just think if you have a think about it, like if this is a product that you see yourself aligning with long term, then really treat it like a long-term business. When I mentioned that to Nat, she's like, "Oh, babe, that's the mission statement." And I didn't even know we had a mission statement. And so I wrote it down here. What is it? It is to build a stable and long-lasting company that will help as many people as possible to realize their dreams. It never said I had to do it in 2 years or 3 years to get to NMD. And if it takes me 5 years to do it in a more graceful, eloquent manner, then I would much prefer that than ramming it down everybody else's throat. I would much rather do it beautifully. And as I've taken that approach, so has the people around me changed how they've interacted with me. So people come to me now. I may need to still bring up the product or introduce the product, but people come to me now, and that's a big difference. So if you're in it for the long game, play the graceful long shot. There's no need to rush it. What did I put down next? Get clear on your values. I mean, Val and I are big on our values. We run our Love in a Bowl workshop around values and rediscovering what it is that's actually important to you and why you're even doing the Juice Plus business. For me, I came to Juice Plus for health. So that was another big takeaway that I took from the February conference. Okay, I'm definitely here for health reasons. I'm not here for girl boss or girl gang reasons. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not who I am. So get really clear on what Juice Plus is for you, what values you have in the product, and write them down. And then underline the 3 that your life really resonate with right now. And if they don't line up with who you are and what you want to bring to the table, then you have to change something, because the two, if they're not in alignment, what you're doing on one side, you're not a reflection of the product or the business, and you need to be. It has to kind of be a part of you eventually if you want to have community around you coming to you. Because once you get aligned with your values, then the 3rd point was to get clear on your person and your tribe. And that's something that Val and I have been speaking about a lot lately, is, that sort of attracting to you the person that you really want to have in your team. I don't want some, German neo-Nazi sitting in a basement that wants to make a few extra dollars on the side on my team. Like, if I've got a community, I want to be doing things with them in the community. And he's not probably going to fit with the vibe of me, let alone everybody else. I would much rather have 10 amazing women who are a real reflection of my values, my brand, and work with them than have 50 that are so-so and a lot of hard work and maybe don't really gel with my message. I think you make it really hard on yourself when it can be really simple if you try and stick to that sort of tribe of person that is a reflection of you. You know, they don't have to be exactly the same, but same journey or similar journey along different stages. I mean, that's really what you want. You don't have to be a lighthouse for everyone. And I think that's something that I've had to learn too. My fourth point, please ask me, Val, if I'm not like explaining something well, you just pop in and say, like, ask me a question. The fourth point I put down was to actually be a lighthouse that inspires and motivates others. I have really done everything possible in the past to not be a lighthouse. I wrote books, and then I wrote online programs, and then I did candles. I just circled around being a leader. I did everything else I could possibly want to do other than just pop up and own everything that I'd done and be that lighthouse that people wanted me to be. Every community needs a centre or a leader who they look to for inspiration and motivation. And you actually have to be willing to take on that role. And I was not willing to take on that role for a long time. I think getting to SC has been, stop laughing, Val, has been the point where I've had to accept that I have to be willing to take on that role because people are actually looking to me for it now. You know, they're actually wanting that from me now. And that's wonderful that they do. But I had to be willing to step into that space. And the realization for me is that it's actually not about me anymore. When somebody reaches out to me, it's not about me, it's about them every single time. So if you can really accept your role that to have a community, you need to be the center of it. I mean, that's the huge first step. The next thing I had down was the V word when it comes to community. And it's not Valerie. Valerie's been wonderful for my community and you know, teaching me how to relate to women and how to speak to women. And it's not the other word, it's not vagina, but it does help if you have a vagina because our ability to connect and network and speak with women, I mean, that's a women's thing. I mean, we do that naturally. So if you have a vagina, you know, that's an asset right now. It is. You know, we're good at that. But the other word, the V word that none of us want to talk about and that I haven't resonated with and that I've hidden away is that whole vulnerability. If you don't show up first, if you don't put that foot first forward and share who you are and acknowledge to yourself and share with others all the parts of yourself, then you can't expect anybody in your community to do that for you. And that's really the difference, again, between getting a sale and getting a raving fan. You know, when you get a sale, you're dealing with somebody that's the tip of the iceberg stuff. You know, they come to you, they know they need health, they know they need to lose weight. And, you know, share you that real tip of the iceberg stuff. But if you can get under the surface, that's where all the juicy stuff is. Because when somebody's come to you to lose weight and to, you know, because they know their energy's off and nutrition's off, you know, 100% it's something else going on more than that. And to do that, to get them to share with you that so that you can actually create change for them, inspire change with them, you've actually got to be open enough to open the door to that so that they know that they can share that with you. You really have to drop your own pretense first is what I've written down. You know, I sort of call vulnerability, it's like the facade of fine, you know, with the capital F-I-N-E. I'm really good at that. I was a real master of the facade of fine and I like to really, you know, glitz that up with awards and gold stars and all sorts of stickers I had to sort of show that I was fine when, you know, under the surface I wasn't. But the truth is it's hard to fall in love and connect with someone who always shows up as perfect and who doesn't show all of the shades and colours of actually everything that's going on. What ends up happening is that when you start taking workshops like I've done or you do a call like this, you know, when you're in that crowd, it's really easy to hide from yourself. But when you're in here, you've got nowhere to hide. All right. Sharing your story eloquently. So we want people to love the product. We want people to love you. So you have to show up as yourself every single time. And you have to share that tapestry. I've really hidden away from that. But the truth is that as soon as you start showing that, women resonate. I mean, I joke now. I mean, some of my one-on-one clients who become Juice Plus clients, they don't tell their husbands, and they take their money out when they go to get their groceries out. So when they pay me, they're paying me in like $5 and $10 and $20 notes. And I often joked about, like, I have like a stripper's wallet here, because those notes have been like folded and hidden in the back of wallets. I mean, only last week I went to the newsagents. I thought, I'll buy a lotto ticket. I never buy a lotto ticket, but I thought I'll go and buy a lotto ticket. And I went to the counter and it was a warm day, so I kind of had like a lower top on. And I opened my wallet, and of course all these notes that had been like, I had 2 clients in the week and they'd both paid me cash, small change, small notes. So I had all these notes that were like all of a sudden straight but had been folded. So my wallet was like bulging, clearly with notes that had been folded and stuffed everywhere. So I'm standing there with my tits out and this wallet full of notes. Now, what do you think that newsagent's man looked at me? He looked at me and he winked. Hey, I thought he thought I was a bloody stripper. I'm not a stripper, but here I am with this wallet full of cash. When you get women show up at your door like that, it's because you've been willing to show your shit. When you can take the steam out of your own stuff, then you allow the space for other people to take the steam out of their own stuff. This is so much more than just a Juice Plus product or capsules. You know, when people come to lose weight, it's everything else that needs to follow on through with it that creates community around it. So tip number 7, keep your eyes on your own lane and bring you to what you're doing. Social media is wonderful, and you know, we all get lots of inspiration from there, but it also breeds a lot of confusion more than clarity sometimes. It's a lot of comparisonitis. You know, we see what she's doing and we think I should be doing that, and on and on and on. There's a really great quote, and I can't remember who said it, but those that look around dream. Those that look within create. So you're really wanting to be looking. It's good to have a model. Like I love, you know, choosing somebody that's a favorite that you might be modeling yourself on a little bit, but you can't be looking around and comparing yourself all the time. It just gets too much and you'll never feel like what you've done is enough. So my thing is always, you know, I use from the workshops that I've been doing, you know, I've been using all the recipes that we all have access to. And then I add me on top of that, what's important to me, what my community is talking to me about, what I know they need. So it's really important. You know, I could give, you know, I've had a lot of people reach out and ask about the workshops that I've been doing and how am I doing it and what am I adding into it. And the truth is, you know, I don't necessarily follow a script. I just get some recipes and we sort of pull them, some of them together, and then I add me to the mix. So if you're wanting to do anything with your community, the community has to be about you and what you have to offer and your story and the value that you can bring. So reflecting on that is really important. You just don't want to copy the wheel because you'll be an imitation of somebody else and you won't end up with a community around you that reflects who you are. The next thing I had down was to take it offline. You know, a 3-dimensional business with a growing 3-dimensional leader. That's that whole vulnerability thing again. You have to be willing to show up and be seen. So, you know, lots of touch points is the things that I've been doing lately. You know, it's really easy to just keep posting on social media. But, you know, it's just like somebody is standing in front of you with a placard. After a while, people stop taking any notice. It's just another post about, you know, capsules and you. You know, so you need to be reaching out privately with messages. If people are liking your posts or commenting on your posts, you know, reaching out privately, engaging with them, following up in that way. And then you need to be letting people engage with you because you're the lighthouse. So you have to be open to that. So, you know, suggesting coffee if they seem open to it. Creating workshops, giving people lots of different points that they can come and see you with that's comfortable for them and that they can afford. You know, some people can't afford it, but then sometimes it's to do with value. So if they don't see the value in it, they're going to take a long time to warm up. And I say this knowing, like, I've been doing this for 4 years. So I've got a few books and I've got, online programs. And so I've got a few different touch points, but they're really important in sort of terms of that progression, is to start offering different ways that people can engage with you. That's not just a post on social media. I like to keep my catch up small too. 10, 12 people, it's all it really fits in my lounge room mostly. But when you do that, like, the engagement's really high. And so women share quite intimate details with one another. Generally, you have to be the icebreaker again, where you start sharing about your own values, your own story that's relevant to the audience. But once you do that, they do then respond back. And you have a beautiful community that comes around just from that one group, let alone the entire group around you. You really do become that sort of lighthouse where you allow people to say what they actually feel rather than what they present themselves as. And there's a real big difference for a lot of women between those two things. I don't use scripts. I use people's real names. People sense if you're not genuine. There's just too many people on social media now with all the, whistles and, flashing lights. You have to be genuine. You have to be really honest in your interactions with them, and you have to really be authentic with who you are. So I don't use scripts, and I always make an effort to use people's real names, get to know a person. And if I feel that, someone and we're really clicking, then I always, make sure that that's a person that I sort of stay on top of and, really sort of keep close to me. If it feels like, then it's right, so they're my tribe. So I stick around them and I get to know them a little bit more. And then they're the ones that I suggest to catch up for coffee. And if I get to the end, like close to a workshop, and I still have 1 or 2 spots left, sometimes I've even offered them a free spot rather than leave it empty. Again, sometimes you've got to be the one that breaks that ice. And pretty much everybody, whenever you do that, they always say yes. The 9th tip that I had down was to create a circular momentum of community in your business. You sort of need to have something always going on and be consistent. If you're wanting community, then it has to be a lot of bits and pieces that people can be a part of. There's no point having a workshop 1 month and then not offering anything for 3. You sort of need to always have a little bit of something that they can do next. And as they get to know you, you sort of share all your things more, and then you start to realise that sort of lower half of the iceberg, what's really going on for a person. And then you're able to offer them a lot more value, and you really get to know somebody's pain points. And it becomes a very open and easy conversation. I find really having that sort of, now that we're sort of doing the workshops, I'm sort of doing 2, sometimes 3 a month, and doing, coffees and different bits and pieces and staying in touch with people. Teamsy's been amazing for tracking all of that. If you're not using Teamsy, you really, it's just a paper trail. Otherwise, I just find Teamsy so simple in keeping in touch of all of those contacts and relationships. And the last point that I had was to not forget the most important person in your community, and that is you. I'm the backbone of my community. And if people are looking to me for things all the time, I have to be taking care of myself. And that's not just in my health, that's also with my own personal development. I sort of had, I think it was last month, I had 2 weeks where I had like 2 or 3 workshops, and then I reached SC in the space of like 2.5 weeks, and my brain just went boom. It was too much. It was too much of everybody liking what I was doing. It was too much celebration. It was too much everything just going too well, and my brain couldn't take it. I sort of hit that sort of glass ceiling of what do they call, like an upper limit problem. It was all just going too well, and I started almost creating my problems for myself because I was just couldn't do it. That's a personal development thing on myself, that I have to raise the bar in terms of what I know that I can give and do. Your business and your community will only grow as much as you grow yourself. And I had kind of reached a point where I'd probably applied and acted a lot of times, but I'd sort of let myself fall behind there. And it was sort of, for me, I've learned that I have to study, I have to read, I have to also keep my own personal growth going alongside of it. Otherwise, I will just burn out and not keep up with what's going on for me. And then I'm no good to anybody. So for me, I mean, that's what I ended up doing in the last week and a half. I did like a certification in law of attraction. I'm already the life coach, so now I'll do this as well. Is just to sort of also, you know, be the student too. You know, I let myself be the person that looks to somebody else for advice, and to not just be always go, go, go. So that was the other thing that I had really learned as well. So they're my 10 tips. I hope that I've given something of value. Did anybody have any questions? I saw some popped up in the chat. What did I see? What is a great exercise that people can do to figure out their values? Well, the one that we do is really where we ask people to think about, well, okay, if you got a full week off work and you were in Perth and you got paid a full wage, you can't go anywhere, what would you spend your time doing in Perth if you just had time to just hang out with not a single financial concern or stress? You know, most people start putting down things like, I would go to the beach, I would read a book, I would cook because I just never cook. Would they put down things like, I would visit my family more, I'd go swimming again. You know, people start writing all the things down that they don't have time for. And then, you know, the next question we ask is, okay, so what's reality look for you right now? What are you doing with your time? And so people start saying, oh, you know, I work all the time. I come home, I put the washing on, I go into dinner, and then I sit in front of the TV, and then I climb into bed, and then I roll out of bed 5 minutes before the kids get up, and I have a coffee, you know, and you start seeing this real Groundhog Day. And so then you ask them to just compare the two. So what's the difference? Like, where are you not spending the time? Because if these are your values and this is your reality, it's no wonder you're feeling a disparity between the two and why you're probably not feeling that great. So it becomes then, okay, well, how do we add in some of those values into your own daily life simply? And that's quite a powerful tool for values. It makes you reassess what you're doing, because if you're all about health and lifestyle, but you're spending, you know, all of your evening sitting in front of the TV, you're not going to be happy. You know, those sort of things. So that's a great exercise for doing. The values. How do I charge for my workshops? I use Eventbrite to set up my workshops, and all the ticket pricing goes through there. And look, in terms of charging, as long as it covered the costs of the product and or whatever it was that I was doing, or the venue or the food, I just went with that initially, just to sort of see how it went, just to get some foot traffic. Now I'm just started to edge up the pricing a little bit to sort of take into account my time, because there is a little bit of time involved in workshops, just in terms of thought and everything like that. So that it's worth my time, because everybody leaves and they've had a wonderful evening and they leave inspired and excited. But everybody, after they've all left, I'm like, I'm exhausted. So, you know, it kind of has a flow-on effect to the next half of the day, where I'm kind of like recuperating. While everybody else leaves on a high, all enthused, I'm like home taking it easy and not doing too much. So I've started to sort of up the price a little bit now, so that I know I do walk out having earned a little bit to sort of compensate for that. What's my favourite personal development YouTube channels and videos? I've kind of, the only person that I'm really listening to a lot is Ed Milet at the moment. I'm probably more of a reader, if I'm honest, because for me that's relaxing. So the only podcast I'd listen to is Ed, and then for me, I'm just a reader. That's my time out. And often I throw, like, you know, so with, like, I've done this law of attraction certification. I mean, part of the reason why I did that was that I recognized after I hit SC and did all those workshops well, and that, you know, but they got a good response, probably a better way to put it, is that I was not self-sabotaging, but gosh, like, you know, my brain exploded. It was almost too hard for me to allow my own self to do well. They call that, like, you're not really allowing your own success. That's when you're really out of alignment. And so that's why I knew straight away. I had been thinking about doing the law of attraction certification just so I understood that process a little bit more. So that's why I jumped in and did that. So often my personal development gets caught up in the study that I do for myself that then becomes the study that I share with others. So, and that was through a certification course, but it's different because I've already got the life coaching. So I just say, for me, reading's powerful. It gives you time out, gives you peace and quiet, and then podcasts if I'm on the road. Ed, I do listen to in the car sometimes. And I think that's all. Did anybody else have any questions? Sorry for getting upset, but if I say the word vulnerability lately, it just makes me cry. So I just got to say it anymore. Damn Brené Brown. I don't know how to unmute, so I'll leave that with you, Val.
Oh, that was amazing. Did everyone enjoy that? Gosh, it's absolutely amazing. And you know what I love about working with Carla is that every time that we come together for a mastermind catch up or a mastermind call, everything's about stretching as well. And I could see Carla needed that stretching from a good point of view, because like she said, she was really good writing the book. She was really good one-on-one. And I remember when we started really working together, she goes, oh, I don't do group things. So I was like, right, we need to kind of, do a bit of redirecting here. It took, a lot of know, like, and trust. And obviously outside of Juice Plus, we have a fantastic girlfriend relationship. So, I guess what I could really take from this is that whoever your upline is, tell them what you love. Carla was really direct and honest. She goes, Val, I love online, but I'm going to be honest, I love face-to-face. So we just had to direct her values around how can we do these workshops, where can we add value, where can I chime in and help her, and really cultivating that culture. So please, for anyone online here, if you love face-to-face, tell your upline that. Ask them that you need help to do events. And like Jay Martin always says, having a buddy works wonders. I mean, we do a lot together. So, Carla,
and the other thing that I probably didn't touch on is, like, I'm not backward now in directing people into events and different things that I'm doing. Now that people are, now because I'm sharing and sort of, drop the pretense of my own thing. So I'm sort of sharing quite openly, with a bit of eloquence. Like, I don't kind of brain dump on everybody in terms of, myself and my life and where I'm at. But, people now tell me the things that are going on with them. So if I get a sense that somebody needs something or they're looking for something, I'm not afraid to sort of say to them, look, I've got this workshop coming up. It sounds like something that you would, you just love. And then I'm not afraid to also say, next month I'm creating a workshop for single women who are dating and, love after being with someone for, 10 or 12 years. It's really daunting. There's a lot of women following me right now that's who they are. So, I will create a workshop for those women. So I've already sort of said to them, look, I'm looking to create that. Would you like me to let you know when I've got a date for that? So don't be afraid to direct people into your things or to create things. You just want to be able to give people a reason to get offline and in your presence one-on-one if you can. With the law of attraction coaching, I'll now go and create like an online coaching program. So they'll be able to speak to me online or see me online every week for a certain amount of time for a certain period. And that way I can touch points with people that aren't in Perth. Because at the moment I can do workshops in people with Perth and, direct them in. But if I'm talking to someone in America and I know that they're really getting in the way of their own success and their sort of beliefs or what's holding them back, then I'm suggesting them now this. So, don't be afraid to direct traffic. It's people are only going to say no, and keep names down. If somebody says yes, that would sound wonderful. Keep that name down somewhere. I've created like a tag on Teamsy now, sort of potential workshop, so that I've got that there and I can follow that up and find that person easy.
And if I could just quickly add one thing, when Carla and I collaborated together, we did the first workshop of Loving a Bowl. I said to Carla, we're not going to pull out a whiteboard. We're not going to be handing out brochures. The big thing that you really hear in these days is value. Tony, Rob, they all say, give value, give value. So she's like, I'll just follow your lead. So we did the event. I did the smoothie bowls. She did the value workshop. And then when people were coming at the end, they had their goodie bag. We had the bowl there with the fruiting and the capsules in there and the ebooks. And she had all of her range. And everyone came through. And guess what? Everyone stopped and looked at it anyway. And, and then we had little prices in the goodie bag, and we did it so elegantly. And the amount of women that said to Carla, wow, you girls just give so much value. And I'm not going to name another company, but it just happened to be Carla got invited to another event the next day.
Yeah.
And you might want to explain what happened there.
I could just say the company, can't I? Nobody's going to care. I got invited. I got invited to an influencer here in Perth invited me to a yoga morning at her house, and I was kind of a little bit intimidated. I was like, "Oh, okay, sure, I'll go along," thinking I'm going for yoga. Bring your yoga mat. So I brought the yoga mat, and I walked into an isogenics presentation. So I walked in, this was my first touch with isogenics. I don't know the system, nothing. She gave us, a group of 8 women, like a 5-minute spiel about isogenics. I mean, I could tell, because I've been around long enough now, and maybe it's the profession, like, you haven't been on isogenics for all that long, but that's okay. So she gives me a 5-minute spiel about isogenics and how it's changed her life. And then she put on a 15-minute YouTube video for us to watch about isogenics. I was like, oh my Lord. I got off the phone. I said to Val, what a complete waste of my time. The only thing I learned was how to never do a workshop because I don't even know anything about isogenics, but I don't ever want anything to do with it ever again. That's why I say, like, this woman, like, she's got so many followers, but she's in a rush. Like, if you love a product and you see yourself being aligned with it for a long time, like, take the long shot, the elegant long shot, because she will never get me back to her house for another yoga morning ever again. She's nice, but like, I'm not going there because I know what she really wants. And you don't want to be known as that girl. There's no need.
Yeah, perfect. There's always the polarity. We had a good day. That was just fizzled.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, Tam, I think that's pretty much that's us.
That's us.
I just want to know if you got to do any yoga.
No, I made an excuse. I said, I'm sorry, I forgot I had something on. I got to go. And I got out of there real fast.
Hopefully she read between the lines.
I hope so.
Well, guys, thank you so much for such an entertaining. I've written heaps of notes there, Carla, and I've never heard it put so beautifully as take the elegant long shot. I could picture myself on the first hole, par. Got it, girlfriend. Absolutely got it. Thank you so much, guys. Well, thanks, Val, too, for hosting that tonight. And what I particularly